Hello, my family. Hello. Welcome to episode 60-something else. I think it's 66. I think I'm back on track here with knowing what the hell I'm doing. Guys, episode 66, baby. Good buddy of mine, Matt Bilinsky. New buddy. Good buddy, but a new buddy. I met Matt on Clubhouse a couple of months ago. I think we were in a few rooms together and talked to each other, kicked it. Then we met in real life at a Clubhouse event in LA. And awesome dude. Love the way he thinks. And communicates his ideas about lots of things, about how the world works. We had a long, awesome conversation about a lot of things related to the world and life. And politics was a big part of that. And man, I love connecting with people about these things that I don't know a lot about that I would like to learn more of. So I hope you guys really enjoy this conversation. But first, this episode is brought to you by Magnesium Breakthrough. Don't skip these ads. Don't you dare fucking skip these ads, dude. Don't do it. Guys, Magnesium Breakthrough is from from Bioptimizers, my favorite supplement company. I truly do take magnesium every day. It's made of 7 different forms of magnesium. There's no woo-woo, batshit craziness, spiritual, hippie, la-la magic behind these supplements. It's legit. Legit fun, good magnesium vibes. It helps with my sleep, helps ease my muscles after workout, and it aids in my recovery process. Big time. So Magnesium Breakthrough, highly recommend, especially if you're like going for a hike or a hard workout, or you're going to be on your feet all day. You take a couple of these guys at the end of the day and you ease your body into its resting recovery state, because they do a lot of scientific things that I don't know enough about. Let's see, absorbed magnesium by the body, support digestion, promote restful sleep, and a bunch of other things. MagnesiumBreakthrough.com/Brent Pella for a discount. And they'll also send you this book, The Biological Optimization Blueprint, packed full of stuff, tips and tricks and things to do and to live a better life, work out more efficiently, and optimize your body and your health. MagnesiumBreakthrough.com/Brent Pella. Blue Blocks, also brought to you by Blue Blocks, my favorite blue light blocking glasses, because they're the only blue light blocking glasses that I wear, and I wear them at night whenever I'm watching a movie or scrolling through YouTubes or doing some editing on my computer. I wear these guys, and my eyes don't stress. Dude, I used to edit all the time late at night with my screen on full blast, full brightness, and my eyes would get all watery and dry and itchy and like tired and sore. And I wear those now all the time, and I don't get that. And when I don't wear them, I do get that. So I've noticed a significant improvement. You'll get 20% off, 25% off, or 30% off, depending on how much you spend, between June 15th and June 30th at blueblocks.com/Brent. That's just the 15% code, but if you want higher, you could spend some money. I think it's like $150. You get 20% off, and then a bit more, you get more percent off, a bit more, you get more percent off. Capitalism, baby. And Blue Blocks is a company I love, and you should too. Support the sponsors support the show. You support me, I support you. We all love each other. Guys, let's get into it. Episode 66 with my boy Matt Bilinsky. Please enjoy. You've been out here your whole life except for college. Where'd you go to college?
Cornell in upstate New York.
Were you born up there too?
No, my family's from New York, so all my cousins, like one phase of American Judaism, which was like the dark sheep of every family, like moved from New York to LA. So
yeah.
The rest of the family stayed in New York. We'd always go back there. I had a lot of roots there. And then, I was going to college. Like, all right, that seems like a nice change of pace. Like most of the kids who grew up in LA, like most of them stayed here.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to go see some other stuff.
Yeah. Is Cornell Ivy League?
Yeah.
Okay. So
just barely.
So you're a little Ivy League doughberbag, dude.
Yes, thank God.
How cool is that?
It was awesome. It was I have my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts. It's mostly. I mean, there's the lineage, right? Like this kind of historical American narrative of like the Ivy League thing and like buttoned up and these are the elites and this and that. And I kind of always enjoyed that kind of tongue in cheek, but like it's bullshit. And I think I went to college around the time it started to be bullshit. Like you started to realize like, wait a second, for the amount of effort you have to put in to get in, the cost, the returns aren't there, particularly as the internet came around and that kind of bypassed and created a lot of new ways to make money and build stuff and learn stuff and have
create
careers.
a career. Yeah,
exactly.
So what'd you study when you went there?
History, which was also, bullshit.
What
You're
are you
like,
gonna do? Be a teacher?
No, just like art. If you, we just assumed like, oh, go to a really good school, get the
degree,
credential,
right?
And it's just all going to fall into place.
Wow.
And I was like, that was like a 1980. That was like a 1988 type of attitude. And like by around, I graduated college 2003. By the early 2000s, that just wasn't. It was starting not to be true, but everybody had told you it was true. And who are you to realize it wasn't?
Yeah.
And so I think it took probably a decade, even the last 6-7 years, people are starting to wake up and be like,
oh
wait a second.
Now I think it's completely different now.
Yeah.
I think so many people are realizing that not going to college is a decent option. It's not. It shouldn't be frowned on. There shouldn't be a stigma to it. There's so many things you can do without going to college. And that's definitely been more and more.
And like you can't ignore, you see all the charts that show, okay, here's the price increase of like every other good on earth over the past 35 years, and like why, they're all like this, and then why is the cost of college like that?
Right.
And at some point, that reality is gonna slap people in the face.
Right.
Wake up to that.
Right.
And that's what I think.
What was like the best thing you took from college? Did you have a good college experience?
Not really, man. The East Coast different. Where are you from?
I grew up in California my whole life.
East Coast is a different ball game.
Yeah, my whole family's from the East Coast, like Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut.
For sure.
Yeah.
I went out there and it was interesting. At least at that time, I think it's even gone a lot more. Things have changed. I can't believe it's almost 20 years since I was in college. But I go out. I'm Jewish and like grew up in LA and Beverly Hills, like pretty big Jewish community. But like no one really thought about it. Nobody really distinguished themselves or segregated themselves based on these things. I went out to the East Coast and then it was really old schools, like the Wasp lacrosse players.
Really?
Hung out with the Wasp lacrosse players.
Wow.
The the Jews from Long Island, like those were the fraternities, like pretty much Jews, and like these things really mattered. And I was like, I didn't get it. It took me a bit to wrap my mind around. I was like, this is not a game I want to play. And so between that and it was it was very isolated. Like I thought, okay, I'm pretty close to New York, but you're 4 hours away. You're not getting down there every couple weeks, right?
Right.
So I was like, get me the fuck out of here. Get me back to LA as soon as possible. And then I was like, okay, how do I hide out for a few more years without having to take any real responsibility? Go to law school. Everyone will still like look upon that with respect and admiration. Even though I once again did not. I knew deep down I was like, there's nothing here that I'm doing that's special or anybody else, and the kids that are here are incredibly unimpressive.
Yeah,
and I'm just wasting time. And to have to make. And so I came back here and then did all the socializing and networking and all the shit that I should have done before.
Did you move back to LA immediately after college, like at 22?
Yeah. Yes. Although I graduated a little early from, to get out of Cornell.
Okay.
And then I had a friend who went to Arizona State, and I pretty much did
that's fun.
Arizona.
Did you party? Oh, come on,
bro. Oh my god,
dude! Arizona State is insane.
Out of control.
Tempe, and Phoenix. Every time I have shows in Tempe, I kind of clear the couple days after the shows because I know I usually don't go out until the last show of the weekend because I don't want to like lose my voice. But in Tempe, dude,
people don't know. Talk about a credible source.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, of all people, in his autobiography, which I recommend everybody read, he says, I partied all over the world, and anywhere, anything that's been done, I did it. He's like, Scottsdale, Phoenix is the most underrated party place on earth.
Yeah.
Mike knows.
Yeah, 100%. I just went there in April.
Oh, yeah?
For a buddy's birthday. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of things. It
desert.
Was a good time. It was fun.
The desert.
Shit
goes down in the desert.
Shit goes down in the desert, dude. We were there. We went to that big. When's the last time you were in Scottsdale?
About 3 years ago.
Did you ever go to that big daytime pool party club thing? I forget what it's called. Like Oma, Mommy,
I've missed that one, but I'm familiar.
Yeah, you get it. We were there, and this was right after they lifted the mask mandate. So they said, okay, and all through Arizona, it's up to the businesses, it's up to the people. You don't have to wear it anymore.
Sure.
And in LA, it was like on the day we left to go out to Scottsdale, LA said, bars can open at 25% capacity now. Wow. We fly to Scottsdale that day. We go to this day club. I mean, like everybody was naked pretty much and just like thousands of people drinking
sure.
and touching each other everywhere. The difference, it almost gave me like shock. I was almost in shock. If I hadn't already been living with like a free fucking chill out mentality, I would have been like blown away, dude.
Could you imagine what's going on right now with the people who have really isolated themselves over for the past year?
Yeah.
And, you know, whatever, we can get into the costs, benefits, pluses, minuses, justifications, non-justifications for that. But like, and you know, I got COVID kind of early. I got it back in June, and I was like, all right, you know, seems like people.
How were your symptoms?
Not bad. I mean, I was definitely sick, but it was not the top 10 most sick I've ever been in my life. And like, okay, I hear other young people got hit a little worse, but you know, counted my blessings. But I was like, all right, you know, I'm keeping on top of the science and the data here, is not just throwing out the term science, which a lot of people do. Yeah. And there seems to be some pretty strong immunity. So I said, fuck it. I'm not going to live my life with a ton of restraints. Yeah, I mean, how much did you travel during?
Dude, the whole time.
You traveled the whole time.
So yeah, I think everybody was kind of on the same page at the very beginning. No one knew what was going on. Yeah, let's lock down for a few weeks. This is weird. We're living in a movie. This is a zombie apocalypse. It could be. No one knew. Except for like the people who were like super wacko and wouldn't trust the government anyways, right? Sure. That think they're like a sovereign country.
And they got to the right answer from the wrong way.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. But then come like May, I started to get like frustrated. June, I started to feel like, what? Okay, hang on. Why are we? I had a lot of questions in June. I was angry by July. July is when I got angry. August is when I started touring with JP again, because he was going out to Florida, and so I think Florida might have been our first date out of town. And we go out to Florida, and again on the first day we get to Florida, the Friday, the governor lifts the capacity restrictions. This is in August, and the comedy club calls JP and says, "Hey, do you want to open up the other like 30% of ticket sales?" And he's like, yeah. And they sold out in minutes, dude. And we were shaking hands with people in August, shaking hands. Yeah. People were coming up like, "Hey, Brent, that was funny. Can I spit on you?" And I was like, yeah, for sure. I was taking loogies to the
like
face.
From before COVID.
100%. Yeah. I love being spit on. And so we're shaking hands, like giving hugs, taking pictures. And in my head still, I was like, ooh, this feels kind of dangerous, because you know all the data is still coming, but you know, and I got back to LA. I waited 4 days. I quarantined. I got tested negative. I was like, okay. If I was gonna get it, it probably would have been in Florida, shaking hands with literally 1,000 people. No one was wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and that sent me down the rabbit hole of looking at demographics, people with different types of immune systems, my personal health history, what my immune system is like. And then if I was a little bit mad in July, I got like furious in August. And then that took me through the fall. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people took different trajectories there, right? I mean, like the weekend, and happy riot anniversary. I mean, this is pretty much this weekend. After that, I was like, after having been locked up for a few months, I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here. So I went to Austin this first week of June last year, and I was like, okay, that was my first experience seeing how someone else was living. Yeah, and it was a little odd. It was like, wait a second, it might be a little bit early for them to be living this freely.
That's how I felt when I got to Florida.
Yeah, and that was June, right? And then there was you saw some numbers going up in Texas and Florida and some of the other states that were a little more open right off the bat, but it wasn't crazy, right? It wasn't this, because and here's what I keep on coming back to. I think is something that a lot of people should be more mindful of is. People, I think now, like they forgot how life was before. They're now used to some sort of restrictions, right? And so people forget like how fucking gnarly it is that for a few months, like March, April, May last year, everyone in this fucking country was pretty much indoors and had to stay inside. Like we shut down all of society. Even after that, like even the places that were somewhat locked down, you know. But that's an outlier. It's not how things work. And so, you know, seeing that and that the people were kind of going from 0 to 60, I was like, all right, but everyone was anticipating that if you had everyone in the house and then you let people out of the house, like this thing that just transferred when people were around each other was going to just shoot through the roof. And I was like, well, it increased, but it didn't shoot through the roof. So like, why is that? And then I went back to Texas later that summer, and people were wearing masks more, but it was still like, people were out in the street. There were bars that were open. You had to be outside, this and that. And I come back to LA, and I'm just like, you walk past every goddamn store, and it's dark, and the lights are off, and it's depressing. And okay, they decided to build this little cute fucking thing outside in the middle of the street, so now we can dine inside, outside. But this is really bad, man. And then I went a little bit later in the fall. I went not just to Austin. I went to Dallas, I went to Nashville, and I went to Miami. And these are all three places that like have different demographics, different climates, different, and
different cultures,
Yeah. And everywhere people are operating like levels more normally than California. And I was like, okay, I'm got to go back, but like I'm opting out. Like whatever's going on in California, it's like people are opting into this lifestyle.
Exactly. And that's what I saw when we started touring through the fall. Is I was seeing that we went to Virginia, we did Virginia, we did Texas. Oh, Houston. Yeah, we did Virginia, we did Houston, we did Florida, and maybe one or two other places in like the Midwest. And I would see the way, just the lifestyle. And then people will say like, look at the numbers, but and the ICU beds and the ventilators. But dude, there have still been articles, and now we're just playing like the hindsight game, which is fun. But there was just like a different way of life that a lot of other regions chose that just seemed better. And then at the end of the day, when the numbers all do come out, and they say, there were articles recently that said California versus Texas, two very different places, or two very different approaches with very similar results, right? And so that just makes me wonder, like, what's the next pandemic? What are we going to do next time? You know?
I mean, I don't know.
When COVID-24 hits, is California just going to, like, put up a stone wall at its border and not let people leave or come in?
Well, let's be honest. I think they've showed their colors that they're not competent enough to even do that if they tried to. Right? They're still relying on people opting in, and it's like, wait a second, if enough people woken up, and not just like those people that you mentioned, the super conspiracy, don't tread on me sticker people. It was like enough people like realize like, okay, like we were all going about our business with our normal lives, and like there's we didn't really pay too much attention to these people that we elected, and they're like not very smart, and they got all the same flaws as the rest of us do, and they do shit to signal which tribe they're part of that doesn't really translate to the right ideas, and are people are they gonna try to run this game again? And then I'm now with hindsight we get to look back and see, okay, who was right and who was wrong,
right?
And I'm looking back on some of the people who made some bold predictions, but who weren't super paranoid conspiracy people. And there's like one guy, and he's like, they're probably going to use, they're going to tell you that climate change is the next existential threat that we've got to start, not driving one day a week, or you got to lock yourself in house, and taking all these really like structural changes to society, because if we don't, the ice caps are going to melt. Like, I'm someone who wants to take climate seriously, and I'm someone who wants to take the fact seriously that there's a ton of cars spraying not great shit into the atmosphere every day. But I also not going to just sit there and accept any restriction or any supposed solution. It's like got to be based on the risk management, right? So have people figured that out is the question.
Yeah, and the risk management is interesting. I forget who said this on a podcast, but he was talking about how risk management versus what you're sacrificing. The phrasing of it, I'm messing up right now, but it is something about like, at what cost do we manage risk?
Sure.
Like, do we manage risk to save one life at the cost of so many people's lives, businesses?
Well, to think about it like the speed limit. Like, if everyone went 30 miles per hour everywhere, you'd reduce the number of auto deaths every year.
Right.
But you don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we've gotta, you've got, and it's an imperfect science.
Yeah.
But if you're basing your decisions strictly on how to eliminate any risk of harm and get the damage down to zero, that's going to lead to some stupid shit.
And there's a lot of people that are still like that, dude. I feel like I'm ready to live. I've been ready to live again. But like,
sure.
You ask me right now, what are you ready for? And it's like, I'm ready to live. Like, let's live, dude. Let's get back to life. But there's so many people that are so attached to what happened last year,
man.
And they can't let it go. And they don't want to go back. They're like, no, this needs to drop to 0. Mm-hmm. We need 100% shot up, and all the numbers need to drop to 0. And it's like, man, just let it go, dude.
Yeah.
Let it go.
What do you think it is with those people?
This sounds a little crazy, but I don't know how to phrase it any better. It's an element maybe of Stockholm syndrome. Mm-hmm. Like, not crazy. Obviously, no one was kidnapped or anything, but the media brainwashes, dude. A lot of the media. I'm not just talking about CNN or Fox or OAN, although all three of those are awful.
You want to know one interesting point, as someone who doesn't share the same political views as me, but I think is an honest guy. And he's like, the real bias that the news has is towards negativity.
Yeah.
The one thing you always are going to get across the board is the news is always going to emphasize the risks, the harms, and the negatives. Anytime all these headlines, even recently, like the last 2-3 months, where like the evidence is just undeniable that the harm and the damage and the risk from COVID has plummeted. It's like they still want to qualify it, but we got to remain. But
there's still this percentage. There's still this. Yeah, and so once you're conditioned that way, and you do get conditioned by watching the same programs, the same people, the same type of messaging, by digesting all that. Once you're conditioned in all of these elements that the news is giving you from all these different pieces of information, it's really hard to separate from that. It's definitely possible. I separated from it after 2 weeks back in March of 2020. But it's really hard.
Totally.
But it's got to happen though.
For sure. Well,
there's no like massaging somebody to help them step out of it peacefully. Like, no, dude, just fucking live.
Yeah. And also the problem is they get in this situation, they attach it to some preachy morality thing. Like, I'm doing this because I care. I'm a caring person. I'm a caring, generous, sympathetic, empathetic person who cares about others. And if you don't do it, you're not. Yep. And they've gotten super attached to that they've gotten more morality points because they were more precautious. They took more precautions. They were more cautious. And now it's like, all right, well, where do I hang my hat? Where do I hang my Boy Scout hat?
Yeah.
That, I'm a better person than all these other people. Can we just get back to like everybody take a fucking stroll on a Sunday,
right?
And not be worrying about this shit,
right? And it's not even like we're better people for saying what we're saying. Nobody's a better person.
Exactly.
Nobody needs to try to be higher than thou. You know what I mean? No one. We're not trying to be a better person by saying they're trying to be a better person. There's no fucking pedestal here. No one's trying to elevate themselves. No one should be trying to elevate themselves above everybody else. But there are so many people that do that on all different sides, and that's what forces other people to try and step up even further.
100%.
And step up even further.
And it's mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, and so I hope, I have some faith, but I really hope that can all just start to filter away as we ease back into these semblances.
I think of
what we used to have.
For sure. I think, you're seeing some stuff that makes me optimistic that, now that when we've been in this phase the last like 2 months when it's so clear that like some of the doomsdayers and the scolds and the ultra pessimists, like before when COVID is it is causing a lot of harm and there's a lot of people in the hospital, it's like easy for them to go, it's easy for them to go wave that around.
Yeah.
And it's like when it's not, like there's people like me and you, who are a little more outspoken and a little more forthright in how they react to this stuff. There's a lot of people who aren't, but still don't buy into the bullshit. They just don't want to have to deal with flack from the people, from those people. And I think that it's kind of defanging those people, and a lot of people who are a little more neutral are now seeing how ridiculous the kind of pessimist industrial complex of the media, aided by the people who want to weaponize that pessimism. I think that's being exposed.
Yeah. This episode actually comes out on June 14th, one day before our Lord and Savior says that we are allowed to be free.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, dude? Right in time for our God to give us back our freedoms.
It is so incredibly. It's just the levels of ridiculousness, and I think it's like with that dude, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many people in the state. California, big economy, right? Lots of smart people, lots of ambitious people. They're sitting around too busy, like, all right, I know my taxes are pretty high. I know, they don't really fucking plug any of the potholes in the street, but like, I can't really pay attention to all this stuff. Like, all right, Gavin Newsom, Democrat, don't like voting for the Republicans in California, which is fine.
Right.
Presents himself well, nice head of hair, great skin,
great smile.
Great,
Look at his,
yeah. I don't know what his skin regimen is, but it seems to be working.
His hairline's better than mine.
Guy. Yeah. And then it turns once the veil is lifted, and you have to see that this dude's the one making decisions that really has impact on people's lives. Like, can you open your business? And like, do you have to stick a mask on your kid despite like?
Kids with masks,
unbelievable.
Dude. Oh man, I get like so infuriated when I see a kid wearing a mask, playing on the beach by himself, or running around the park with a soccer ball with one friend. Yeah, and it makes me so mad. I don't even have words to speak
and
about it.
Like, all right, everyone wants to, I don't get all haughty-taughty. For instance, like masks, like. If I'm outside, there's no science that says there's a real benefit to masks. If I go in a fucking Uber, I'll wear the fucking mask because there's actually a likelihood of a transmission of an airborne disease in a poorly ventilated car. So I'll wear the fucking mask. But like the science came out and showed like there's not really much transmission from children. The one nice thing about COVID is it did not present a risk to children, did not transmit particularly well from children. Right. And like everyone wants to, on the mask thing, everyone says, well, what's the big deal? Just wear the mask. And it's a little annoying. And I think, but for adults, it's limited downside and it's limited sacrifice in many situations to wear a mask, but it's just unnecessary. For kids, like, there's a serious downside to wearing a mask. They have yet to process the experience of being human and how you relate to people. And we stick a fucking we were not meant to
hide our face. We we communicate with our face.
Yeah.
Looking forward, I'm going to be very curious to see how many people in LA hold on to the mask thing forever. You saw the people that said, oh no, I'm going to wear a mask forever because I don't want people to think I'm Republican.
Dude.
Blew my mind.
How the fuck is that how you're living your life?
I laughed when I saw that, and I also like almost kind of cried a little bit because I felt so bad for those people. That's insane. That's so crazy to me.
Like, how are you going to signal that you're the shoe in the desk guy? Like, you've got more important things to signal about than that.
Yeah. There's so much more than trying to express to a stranger what your political beliefs are. And then the people taking it back to that Stockholm Syndrome quote, which I know a couple people will probably pull out of context and try to get me fired from a job in the future for saying that. It's an element of being conditioned and then hanging on to that conditioning for dear life. And you see that with people saying, well, I just don't want to get the cold. I don't want to get the flu. Oh, it kind of helps me with my allergies. Well, I'm just kind of used to it, so it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's my body, my choice. Let me wear a mask. Hey, but separate yourself and try to look at it. Take some fucking mushrooms and look down at your body while you're astral projecting and see if you can figure out why you're really wearing a mask in 2021 in the fall, right? Because in LA, there's going to be so many people like that. And grocery stores are probably still going to have to wear them.Maybe not us going into the stores. I don't know, because they're going to leave that up to businesses. But the workers.
Yeah. So, I live in a building, it's like a full service building. So it's got staff every day and, but it's got a handful of people who've been living there for a long time and they're elderly. And at this point, like they've had everyone knows there's no benefit to me having to put on a mask just to walk the 17 and a half yards from the elevator door to the front or in the valet area, which is out fucking doors. Okay.
Yeah.
So like without getting into it, like I was like, sorry guys, I'm not wearing it. Like in the fucking, if there's someone else, there's an old person in the elevator, great, I'll wear it. But like the people that work there, these dudes and these women are like working class people. They have to wear a goddamn mask for going on 8 hours at a time. And like, where's the regard for them that these handful of people who are still super ultra paranoid in the face of all available evidence, like they're upstairs in their own unit, not wearing a mask, and they'll put it on for 2 seconds to walk through the goddamn lobby. The people that work there have to like I'll come home at odd hours, and you could see the person at the front desk like took their mask off their chin. They don't realize that it's me. It's not one of the fucking Karens, and they'll put the mask back on. And I'm like, these people have to, they gotta breathe into themselves and do all this bullshit for hours on end for no purpose whatsoever. When it's 3:30 a.m., this dude at the front desk really has to be sitting there wearing a mask.
Insane.
And like,
insanity.
It's like, you gotta have some regard for other people.
Yeah. And without any with no like the lack of science to back so many decisions has just been insane.
It's crazy. Well, a lot of the people who they wanted to be the I believe in science people. Well, when the science said that circumstances changed, they didn't feel like changing.
Right. Exactly. That's what's so crazy. So who are we voting for, bro? What do we got?
Oh, man.
What do we got here?
In California,
pull this a little bit closer.
Yeah. In California, what
are we doing here, dude? I saw that Caitlyn Jenner ad and I was like, oh shit, am I gonna have to vote for Caitlyn Jenner?
Yeah. Well,
damn, that was a good ad.
Caitlyn's making a lot more sense than anybody else. I know. How is this happening right now? It's like Caitlyn seems right on top of some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right now. The number one, it's more important than who we're voting for is making sure that some pain is visited. Because the first step,
and not necessarily pain has already been visited too, but even not because we were talking about this at the Clubhouse event.
Yeah.
Even not necessarily having him removed now, but not having him reelected, and even further than that, his presidential hopes and dreams are completely scrapped.
For sure.
Which makes me so happy.
Yeah. It's we anyone who was involved thus
far. We're talking about Gavin Newsom, everybody.
Anyone, and I know some inside baseball, I'm somewhat involved.
So I would love. I want to talk to you about a little bit of that. Whatever you can talk about. Yeah.
So, we'll kind of get foundational about it. All right, everyone, you've got to understand that there's big political machinery. Like the politics in a state like California, it's just like any other business. There's groups, there's funding groups, there's machinery, there's consultants, there's marketing firms, there's all of it. It's a business. And most of who gets elected, and this is true like in whatever state where one party always wins, that's bad news, right? You want to be in a state where sometimes one party wins and sometimes the other party wins, because that keeps people honest. In the states where it's just the same party winning every time, they know that they don't have to work. They know that they don't have to worry about fucking up, or they're worried a lot less, right? Yeah. So there's this whole machinery, like the groups that control big email lists of voters. They've got PACs and they've got executive committees, and those executive committees get paid, right? And there's this whole structure there. And like at the end of all that machinery, out pops a guy like Gavin Newsom. Okay. So like when you're thinking, what skills and talents did this person put on display to get to this position? Mostly it was ability to operate and operate within and succeed within that machinery and get the support of those groups. And they run the ads and they raise the money and they email how many different groups email a 400,000 person email list. And most of those people don't really pay attention too much to what's going on. And they just vote for who they see gets an endorsement from this group that they're on the email list from, and out pops Gavin Newsom. Okay. And the thing is now with this recall, it's bypassing all that machinery, and it's just saying, hey, this dude clearly is doing a terrible job and made a bunch of decisions that fucked with people's lives and people's businesses. We can tell that he's incompetent. Okay, he can't. We're going to visit a consequence upon him doing this. Now it cuts through all that bullshit, despite what Newsom is trying to paint it like. No, the numbers all show like only less than half of the people who signed the recall petition are Republicans. This whole thing that this is just the Republican machinery trying to overturn.
Is that true? That's a fact?
Oh yeah, it's rough. I think a little something like
even half would shock me. I would assume it's 80% plus would be Republican.
No, not even close.
Wow,
not even close.
And these are California voters.
Yeah. And most of them, a couple of the groups behind the recall were like Orange County, very bland, khaki wearing Republican groups. Doesn't fucking matter. Enough people have realized, like people who are wondering, parents, for instance. I know tons of, I'm my age, probably 50-50 now. People have kids and who don't. Talk to all my friends who have kids. They're like, why the fuck are my friends' kids in other states back in school and living their life and why am I the only one whose kids are still, living the strange, deformed childhood life that they're living right now? These people are pissed the fuck off, and for good reason. And so I think, Newsom, he misjudged it the whole time. Like there was one of the reasons that the recall was able to succeed is because of COVID, they got an extension on how long they had to get the recall signatures.
I remember that. Yeah.
You want to know part of the reason? Because Newsom didn't even send his lawyers to to court that day for the hearing on that.
Because he thought it was a joke.
He thought it was a joke.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So if he had sent his lawyers, they might not have gotten, or at least they would have been able to argue against the extension.
I mean, they probably would have still got the extension because COVID was a great excuse for a lot of shit, and the judges didn't want to be like, well, but. Yeah. So coming back to the main point here is that you have to at least show that there's some consequence to fucking around. This whole thing, for instance, we all know that Gavin Newsom is making a lot of these decisions based on him trying to signify and brand himself as one of the people who took COVID really seriously. It's like, all right, everyone forgets, remember a year ago, it was clear that the Democrats were trying to, and certainly it wasn't inaccurate, but that Trump was taking a more laissez-faire attitude towards this. He didn't really believe that it was as harmful as some other people did, and like he was going to accept some more harm from, deaths from COVID in order to keep the economy alive and this, that, whatever. So the Democrats said, okay, how do I paint myself as the anti-Trump? I'm going to portray myself as being super concerned, super paranoid, super risk averse, right? And keeping things more shut down. And nowhere was that more emphasized than California. Okay. So Gavin Newsom decided to, just like businesses make branding and marketing decisions, he made a branding marketing decision. I'm going to be the super, I really care about COVID guy. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to hang my hat and I'm going to build my reputation on how well we keep COVID numbers low and all these other factors about the economy and people's lives and happiness and the general good welfare and goodwill of the citizenry. That's not really my concern. Okay. And that's what and once he made that decision, all his decisions since then are, how do I not walk that back and make myself look stupid? Right. It's like once you just keep on doubling down on that. All right. For instance, with when Texas released the mask mandate and said they were going to open up in beginning of March, there's lots of Democratic governors. There's lots of governors who thought that might have not been the best idea. Only one of them went to Twitter to call that decision reckless. Gavin Dumbass. Yeah. Okay. Why? Think about why all these politicians and all these governors, even some who did not agree, would have made a different decision. He's the one who decided to go shoot his fucking mouth off because he wanted that was his branding decision, and he continues to double down on his branding decision. Right? He was made to look completely foolish because in the 2.5 months since Texas announced,
it was all good. And they're back to life. The economy is booming. It's a great place.
And there's no accountability. There's nothing of, okay, even if I genuinely believed that was an irresponsible decision in early March, the facts and the evidence have proven that it wasn't, and it was the right decision, and COVID's continued to drop. Yet, I'm going to continue to drag this out through June, right? And he announced the June date like 2.5 months early, and then the CDC announced that they were relaxing their guidelines, and he stuck to the June 15th date. Why? It all goes back to if you have to revise your decision, it shows that you knew the decision was wrong. And if you're a fucking arrogant prick who pretends that he knows everything,
you never want to be wrong.
And you definitely don't want to give anyone want to give anyone the space to tell you that you're wrong. See, look, he walked that back. And this in recalling Newsom, like, it's people, being able to stand up and say, like, okay, there's consequence to doing this. Like, you can't just fucking get away with this bullshit. And it's like it's totally crossed the boundaries of Republican and Democrat and independent. And the reason that this might end up actually having some real impact is that I think a lot of people don't realize this. A recall election has 2 questions, like, on the ballot. One, should Gavin Newsom continue as governor? And then 2, if not, like, who
and that's a yes or a no,
exactly.
Right? There's a box.
And so if he loses on the first question, he doesn't make it to the second question.
So just to break this down, the first question is, should Gavin Newsom continue as governor? Choose yes or no. If you choose yes, you're done voting. If you choose no, there's a second question with options that basically says, okay, who should be governor?
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Lee, Brent Pella, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't choose any of those, vote for Brent Pella. And if you don't choose any of those, then if a majority of people vote no on the first question,
yeah, correct, yeah.
right? Then Gavin is now not governor anymore, pretty much.
Exactly.
And whoever gets the most on the second question assumes the role?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so think about that numerically. In a head-to-head Democrat versus Republican gubernatorial race, like someone's going to get 7-8 million votes. So you have to get 7 to 8 million people to want to vote for you to become governor. On a recall that is just a plurality and it's 50 fucking people, like you can win with like 1.5 million, 2 million votes theoretically. Wow. Right.
Yeah.
So if it's
way less people are voting in a recall, right?
Arnold, and also it's split amongst more people. Arnold won with 3 million. If Newsom loses on this one, whoever wins probably going to get less than 3. Like think about someone's going to become governor getting like 1/4 as many votes as you would have to in a normal year.
That's wild.
That's why this is all wild. So like I talked to some people, involved in California politics, and they're like, yeah, like he knows he's in trouble. Why do you think he's giving out all this money?
Yeah, I saw that recently.
Dude, it's insane.
So how does that, now that to me just seemed like, hey, we have a bag of money.
Yeah.
We have a bag of money now. Look, everybody, we have a bag of money. Where do you know the ins and outs of that specific
For sure. Well,
thing?
part of the bag of money was the federal government giving California like $20-30 billion. Okay. Right? Okay. That, the whole idea and also was that, because of COVID, not just, once again, the government is also like a business, just like businesses were harmed. The government that employs people and has to run run all these functions was also harmed. So, okay, the state should get a bunch of money. And when Trump was there, for better or for worse, he said, well, California, some of you states, like, you don't run very well. So, like, I'm not just going to give you all this money. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden was like, oh, I'm going to give you all this money. So like Gavin Newsom partially is just taking money that was cycled, one, from that, and two, from a bunch of tech companies having IPOs and like all the
right, and the taxes that come with those.
And it's like, all right, he's cycling that to just literally paying people off to essentially bribe them into voting for him. Like this whole lottery thing. Where
that's for the vaccine,
$150 million, right?
Right.
Ohio, the other state that did this and how they had this bright idea to do this, Ohio did it, but Ohio gave away $5 million, like
$150 million.
So like, let's say California even gave away 15 million. Said 15, we're going to give 15 people $1 million. Anyone who gets the vaccine, you're in this lottery. 15 people get $1 million. Like, I think it's stupid, but I'd be like, all right, whatever. $150 fucking million.
That's a lot of money, dude.
It's a lot of money.
That's almost enough to clean up Echo Park. That's almost enough money to clean up half of Echo Park.
Or it's with Los Angeles spending $700,000 per unit for homeless housing. I don't know how.
Oh, really? Is that what the price is? $700,000. That needs to come down. How do we make that come down? What are they getting? Linoleum floors?
It's.
Come on, dude.
Bro, they're living. You might as well just go buy them a condo.
Yeah, I mean that's so much money.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's crazy. I don't have the answers for that. I got a lot of thoughts on that. I don't have the answers for that, but. I want to really boil down this recall thing because I think a lot of people are still confused by it.
Sure.
So now we have the recall coming up. It's so stupid when people call it a conspiracy theory or they do that thing where they say, have you seen on Twitter where they call the GOP the GQP? Dude, anytime I see somebody tweet that, I think, oh, you're a stupid person.
Yeah.
You're dumb. You're a dumb idiot. So there's just so many valid reasons to not have this motherfucker in power anymore, which is why I'm so happy it's happening.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't get recalled, he ain't gonna get reelected. And even if he does get reelected,
that still
sucks.
He knows the prospects of fucking around are a lot tougher, and also he's been made to look fool. Once again, it's all who we end up getting even the choice to vote for is very often the result of like who the machine spits out. And now the machine for the Democrats, just like overall, knows that he's damaged, and they'll try to keep him alive.
Are they going to put somebody in? Is there a Democrat that's going to be in there? They have to put somebody.
No,
they're
going to do that. No, they're threatening anyone who does.
No way. But what if he loses the first question?
They're willing to take that risk.
No way.
That's
wild.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to look stupid, man. I'm telling you, so many of these decisions are we have to double down because it's gonna admitting we were wrong.
Yeah.
It shows everyone that we fucked up.
Right.
And so
admitting you're wrong is such a good trait to have, though.
God,
it's
dude.
it's such a beautiful human trait to have, to admit that you were wrong and attempt to evolve and learn from that mistake, or learn from that wrong thought or wrong thing that you said. To not have that makes you like less human, and there's so many politicians that have that,
and just authority figures in general. And also, I think it's just like, don't you trust people more when you see them admit that they were wrong on something?
Yes.
Don't you like? And isn't it good for a community and just like for a community generally to build trust? And when you see the people who are authority figures do own up to some mistakes, like that kind of keeps the bonds of trust in a community alive.
Yeah. Like I would like Gavin so much more if he were to say, hey, you know what? Turns out COVID is around 24 hours a day. So going home at 10 p.m. wasn't the right choice. I'm sorry I made you do that. Hey, you know what? Weed stores are essential businesses now. So maybe in the past we were wrong, even if he had no part in this. Shout out to Kamala. Let's review a lot of people who are currently in jail for low-level nonviolent drug crimes.
Or like,
little things, like admit wrongdoings and fucking fix them. They're so small.
Bro, did you see his so-called apology for the French Laundry dinner?
Of course.
It was.
I think I mocked it in one of the videos.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I made a goof. I goofed up.
And he's like, but then you see when he tries to start like elaborating on the dinner, and he's like, and it was my friend, and he had really put a lot of effort into the dinner. We've been friends for a long time. I was like, shut the fuck.
Do you know anything about that lobbyist that he was eating with?
Not a ton, but there's some shade.
There's some shade. I don't know enough, so I cannot go into detail. I can only give out words that I remember reading in the article, and those words were Obama, Saudi Arabia, money, not allowed, and lobbyist. Those are the words I remember from the article. I got to read the article again.
Yeah.
But there was some weird shit about the lobbyist. Regardless, who knows what the fuck I don't know what I'm saying. I'm a fucking clown. But research, look it up. Maybe it's interesting.
And look at clown. You ended up being closer to the target than all the fucking smart
crazy.
people. Yeah,
it's
I was
crazy.
like,
dude, when I first started doing videos on him, I honestly didn't know who he was 2 years ago. I've never voted for governor in California. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And then, in the spring of last year, I was like, okay, this is interesting choices. And then once the curfews hit and October hit and they released that whole thing about large party gatherings, and said you can't play the flute. I was like, all right, you got to go, dude. Something needs to happen here. That was the first impression that I've done.
Has that been one of your more popular impressions? I imagine.
Yeah. That's definitely up there.
And your impression of him and what it gets is just like, he's got this weird jittery thing that is clearly like when you see a person who's not in line with himself because he knows he's full of shit.
Yeah.
And like it's this jittery, strange thing. And like,
and he's on a pedestal that he built for himself. And he looks down at everybody else and thinks his word is the word of God. But usually when I do an impression, it's always of somebody that I admire and respect. Eminem, Joe Rogan, I love those guys. Post Malone, like I love his music. All the people I do. But Gavin was the first impression that I did where like I pulled the drawstring back with aim, dude. Like I was aiming for this dude. I still wanted to poke some fun and have some fun with it. And also in the fall, I was still like, well, maybe he is like maybe he's still. I was learning. I was still learning.
Yeah.
But I called him. There was a joke in there that my mom didn't love, where at the end he's like, my new book. What was it? Something with the foreword written by Vladimir Putin. Something like that. And my mom was like, okay, you're going to call him a communist? And I was like, well, I don't know. But yeah, it's been a wild ride to see what will hopefully be his downfall.
For sure. And you're the did the Sarah Palin, why am I, Tina Fey.
Tina Fey. Yeah.
You're the Tina
Dude,
Fey.
Sometimes I'll go on his press videos, like his press meeting videos, and I'll see comments that just say "ha" in the comment section, and I'm like, dude, his team does not like this, dude.
And it just shows a lot of the power of comedy and satire in exposing authority figures for being empty suits. Man.
Yeah.
Just fuck, Democrat, Republican, and it was just tons of different. But and I think it's a really important function of comedy. That has kind of heightened and waned over the last 20, 30 years, and like it's also strange that now we had this little phase where people were serving this function through like the mainstream media and mainstream networks and the Daily Show, and did a great job at kind of exposing a lot of the hypocrisy and corruption, and showing that these people who seem to are trying to talk with a lot of authority don't know shit. And you don't get now you don't get that through the Daily Show. You don't get that through like John Oliver. Like
Oh
like,
man,
I fucking bitching and
I was bummed when I watched him the other day. It was so like, what was it? He had a segment. I love John Oliver 90% of the time, but sometimes he's so agenda driven sometimes. Well,
it's just
like man,
Jon Stewart wasn't this dude like barking at me about like morality, like he was just
he was
a funnier version of the hall monitor in school. Like,
right.
Oh, I'm the hall monitor in school, or the principal, but I have a good sense. I know how to write snappy dialogue.
Yeah.
Like that's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for people who are like actually trying to hold powerful people accountable, regardless of what side of the aisle they are on.
Yeah,
like that's the whole idea.
That's the goal,
and that's what we've lost. And it's come down to people like you or Tim Dillon to like fucking and I mean I'm trying to monitor. I mean I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in like the comedy community, as unfortunately like cultural lines get drawn in the comedy community over who seems to be on this side of the aisle or that side of the aisle. And sure, there's some people who are like deliberately branding themselves as a right-wing comedian. Or
that always struck me as weird over the past year, because I really didn't get political until 2020, right? And then I was always like topical or cultural or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was never really any politics. I just wasn't interested. And then pandemic broke my brain open. And so I had to take a dive in. And now what's so weird is when you make fun of the left, when you make fun of the right, anybody on the right, you make fun of Donald Trump, you make fun of his son, you make fun of any of those people, you are a comedian. If you make fun of AOC, if you make fun of the Black Lives Matter leader buying millions of dollars worth of property, if you make fun of like anything that's like left-leaning, you're a conservative comedian.
Yeah.
So it's either you're a comedian or you're a conservative comedian. But to be just a comedian, you can only make fun of these people. I even posted that on my Facebook a couple of months ago. I said it's crazy how as soon as you make fun of the left, you're a conservative comedian, but if you make fun of the right, you're just a comedian. And Scott from my high school was like, well, it's probably because of the false equivalency that you're drawing between all the people on both sides of the aisle, but have fun in that middle ground. And I was like, fuck you, dude, Alex. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's comedy, you fuck.
Yeah.
You make fun of things that you think deserve to be poked fun of. And sure, sometimes you miss.
Yeah.
That's comedy. But if you're, as long as you're not like throwing out a racial slur, that's not taking a risk. That's taking or a homophobic slur, or or
if it's doing like ill-spirited,
if you're ill-spirited bullying.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That doesn't take a genius to like interpret what's like just done in good faith and good humor, and might be a little irreverent. And I think that it's also with the both sides thing. It's like people also ignoring. Like it's also about power and its authority, and it's like people won't acknowledge that now the establishment is very left wing. It used to not be, right? So like if you're fucking like trying to bust up authority figures, and you're trying to not let people who have power and authority get away with bullshit, like you're gonna end up making fun of a lot of left wing people, because like they're part of the power structure, particularly culturally these days. That it was not true 35 years ago, or during the Christian Coalition lyrical warnings about lyrics on rap albums. Like there was a different ballgame back then.
Right.
And that's what these people still don't get. It was like, no, like I'm not gonna let, like not everything is this cultural signifier where I'm gonna let a Gavin Newsom or a Kamala Harris, and don't get me started, I was involved in some stuff around the beginning of her political career.
Oh, we'll dive in.
Okay.
Okay.
She's fucking, and it's like, I'm not going to lay off these people just because I'm not going to lay off these people just to signal what team I'm on. And,
Right.
And it's like now, because all the cultural power structure is super left wing, like that automatically they're trying to shovel everyone who opposes them into this batch. It's like, no, I know who, like, I know Alex Jones is over here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not, and he's proudly, and these people are not going, they're proudly labeled, want to label themselves with one team. It's like, no, not everyone has that as a team. Sometimes just looking at who's got authority and got power and leading people in the wrong direction, and you want to expose them.
Yeah. I want to expose everybody, dude. I don't trust any of these motherfuckers, dude.
No.
There's not my favorite. If you think about this for a minute, think about your favorite politicians that are alive right now and why you really like them. And I'll try to think of mine. And you know, I think one of my favorites ever would probably be Obama, just because he's the first president I ever voted for. I remember falling in love with him when he was playing basketball at the University of North Carolina on his campaign trail. He was also pretty centrist. Like,
Yes, much more than people gave him credit for.
Yeah,
for sure.
dude. People look at him as like, a left-leaning progressive. Nah, dude. That motherfucker was center-left, hardcore center.
And
left.
even he'd make efforts to be, right?
Yes.
Like, I think he was not a great strategist. I think he was tactically not.
And I remember nothing about his presidential
sure.
campaign.
Like, whatever,
'Cause I was chugging Fireball in college.
I have no doubt. I was, unfortunately in my super idealistic post-college phase.
Nice.
But, like, you got to be aware of your own, like, interpretive faculties, right? And I'd hear him speak, and I'd think, like, okay, I feel like he's trying to get to the right answer. I feel like he's trying to get there. And even if I don't agree with him, or even if some of the things that he's doing, like where I think was well-intentioned, but clearly it was going to lead. I mean, overall, like, smart guy, good-natured guy, glad we had him around. I mean, now everything is just pure fuck. And also, like, he was willing to speak, once again, who's willing to speak out against their own side? Who's willing to admit they're wrong? Like, he'll outright blast, like, the woke movement. He'll say, like, he's just saying, like,
great.
no, this is childish. Everybody thinking that they're super, beating their chest on social media and thinking that going and attacking other people for their supposed moral failures and ethical faux pas, like, that's what's really making the world a better place. It's like, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And, like, fuck, I'd really love to have more people who were going to take that approach than what's going on now.
Yeah, I wish Kamala would do that.
Well, because she's not that smart. Right. Obama was skilled, talented, smart person, and Kamala Harris is not.
What's your experience with her?
I just around the late 2000s after the Bush thing, I despise him, and he was kind of the person who broke the whole like, it's all about, like, what does a serious, like, smart country do? The Iraq War was like, how are you supposed to take your country seriously after how badly they fucked that up? Right. And that kind of set off a chain reaction that led to a lot of destruction, a lot of where we are right now. I was starting to get involved in like I said, business. There's all these consulting firms, all these political consulting firms. These are people trying to make money and a living just like everybody else. And clearly, around 2008, 2009, after the success of Obama, they're like, all right, we would like a female version of Obama, someone who is good looking, well presented, we can claim, multi-ethnic, and, we're going to peddle him out. And Kamala Harris is coming up at that time. And just everyone involved, all these consultants, everyone knew that she was nothing special. But they're like, all right, we think a female Obama is going to appeal to a lot of people. And you can hear her speak for,
This is around what time?
2009.
Okay.
And that's how they placed her. All of a sudden, boom, they chose
placed her in the Senate?
They
or
played
Congress or whatever she was. What was she? No, she was.
Yeah, Senate. You knew that that California was going to elect a Democratic senator.
Right.
So
and she was AG.
Exactly. Yes. And so whoever the machine spit out and presented to everyone, like, all right, and no one's paying attention. This California Teachers Union, this union group, this political action committee, they've got all of these big email lists. Like, all right, if they present Kamala Harris as the one that they're telling all the recipients of these emails to vote for, that's who's going to win. And that's who did win. And, and Obama also a dude, I think, who stood on some principle. And, like, Kamala Harris, yeah, she's probably smarter than the average person, but she's not particularly intelligent, capable, skillful, or talented compared to like an Obama or the people who really should have such a high level of intelligence and talent that they should be ruling us.
Do you have anybody in mind that is that?
There's
that either is in power or is in a place of public office that you know.
Well, there's a woman. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard is one of the few people
Tulsi.
who will say heterodox things and actually take risks, and seems to like if you're we all like are trying to figure out who's genuine and not genuine in our lives, and you're like, wait a second, this woman seems to be speaking to me in a giving complex explanations to complex problems instead of just defaulting to easily shareable slogans and bullshit. And that's why a lot of people don't like her, and that's why like pretty good indicator that she's a Democrat and Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris are her enemies. It's pretty good. Like, okay, because she's like trying to blow up who the cookie cutter sterile establishment choices, and she opposes that, and thus she gets a lot of heat. And it's like, wait, who seems to be appealing to people who get completely different news sources?
Yeah,
it's like that's interesting.
Yeah,
they're trying to paint DeSantis as this like Trump number 2. I was like, I'm sorry, like he took a lot of risks, and he said, hey, we're going to take a risk to open our state and allow the people in our state to live normal and healthier and happier lives. And there may be some increase in COVID short term, but that's outweighed. We think that's going to be outweighed by the economic benefits and like people not being miserable and stuck in their house. And it turned out he was right. Like everyone continued to predict that Florida being open since August was going to result in disaster, and it didn't.
Right.
And it's like, how many times is he going to announce an additional opening condition? The chattering class says he's a murderer and this is going to result in misery and destruction, and it doesn't happen.
Right.
And then there are a lot of people. There's some people, mostly people who are independent journalists, not journalists for major mainstream organizations, who are like, oh, fuck, he was right. And, I thought it was going to go in a different direction, but it turned out to be the right decision. And this state per capita ended up falling in about, just below the halfway point in COVID damage. And, and the economy is in great shape. It's had a massive influx of people moving there who are super smart and getting a lot. Like,
my dad moved there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not just, like major tech titans have moved here, and that's going to have like.
But also my dad.
Yeah, and your dad. Mostly for your dad. Tech titans like your dad.
Yeah.
Fathers of cultural titans.
Brent's dad moved to Florida and changed the economy.
Where do you move?
Sarasota, I think, is where he's
at
now.
I'm hearing Sarasota's hot.
It's hot. It's a good spot.
Exactly.
Cool spot. My dad's there.
Which golf club does he belong to?
One of the ones with alligators on it.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. He still wanted to play a little dangerous.
Yeah. That's okay. Cool. So that answers that. But going back to the Kamala, because I diverted us. So she's spit out by this machine.
Yeah.
She becomes the one.
Okay, but think about this. Like in the Democratic primaries last year, she was a disaster. She got like less than 3% of the vote. She had to shut down her campaign before the first. I think it was either.
Didn't she stop her campaign?
A disaster. So how does this add up? That a woman who's running against before the machinery has made their decision, this woman is running her campaign against a half dozen other Democratic candidates, and she doesn't appeal to anybody. Like nobody votes for her. Her campaign is such a disaster. She has to shut it down before I think even the first primary. How is she now, a little over a year later, the second most powerful person in the country and a step away from the presidency? Right? And this is not the insinuation of some grand conspiracy. This is just about normal, everyday corruption where powerful interests are making decisions in trying to manufacture consensus around something. So they're like, all right, we have to choose a person based on their gender and ethnicity. She can present herself well for a minute or two, and we think that she's not going to do enough harm to Joe Biden's campaign to make any real impact. But now she's right there. And now, like when there wasn't any machinery involved, she was made to look foolish. She was a disaster. Nobody voted for her. And then we just inserted her here in this position.
Yeah. Wow. God, that political machine, man. That is so wild. Now, how long have you been knee deep in politics like this? Because you know a lot more than like my average friend that I talk to.
So, and I don't like to use the word politics because that's like,
Okay.
yeah. So like,
how would you
all right, the way that I
it?
look at it's like you're just trying to understand what's going on in
Yeah,
the world,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that is like some stuff that's more like strictly political. Sometimes that's more cultural, just like you could talk about
social,
what's going in the comedy world and how, and free speech issues.
Let me rephrase then, because my dip into understanding what's going on in the world really was catalyzed in 2020. And now I could have a conversation about the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
I could have a conversation about, Joe Biden's recent nap that he took.
Yeah.
Or whatever, like the COVID stuff. I'm knee deep in all that. The Gavin recall.
Sure.
Also comedy or the direction Hollywood is moving toward. But I really, really started focusing on politics specifically and what that machine looks like in 2020. Did you always have an interest in trying to understand the inner workings of culture and society?
Absolutely.
And did that get doubled down on during 2020? It must have been.
Here's a little bit of my journey on that. Yeah, dude, always, shooting my mouth off on social media. As probably in my 20s, it was a lot of bullshit and like mildly informed that I probably thought I was a lot more informed than like. Hopefully, step by step, I started to hone sharpen my sword on it, and probably getting closer and closer to the truth or a more, informed perspective. And I'd say that also it's in addition to politics and culture, it's also media and information. Like, how do people get their information?
Yeah.
How does this information and I definitely towards 2015, 16, and in kind of conjunction with the Trump thing happening, is that I started to make a lot of realizations about the media now in the digital age and how it operated and how it really had changed since the days when there were only 3 major networks, a few cable networks, and newspapers every day. And I think people didn't realize, last year was probably the big wake-up call, just like it was for you. People don't realize how much media and the channels of information have changed over the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, think about it like a club, right? Smaller club gets to be more exclusive. You open up a big club and you got to fill up a big fucking room and you got to let more people in, and that drags down quality. Okay? Think about that in terms of news with newspapers and television. When it was just a print newspaper, you got one chance a day to tell the stories that you wanted to tell and inform people about shit. And you couldn't print every fucking story. You had limited space to decide which stories to choose. Once you go to the internet, you print as many things as you can type out and load up on a website. That all goes out. It is constant. That was the
24-hour news cycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was a release of the capacity on news. So that's like building the bigger club. You got to let more people in. You got to print more stories. You got to spout more bullshit out. Okay, right? That, and then you combine that with how the revenue model for media changed, in that these places that used to have monopolies on advertising and had their business models that had been set for about 50, 60 years down, business models were completely shattered. So now, how do we make money off this high volume of stories that we have to spit out when we have all this other competition and we have all these other distractions for people's attention, right? And it just really corroded and decayed the quality. And I started to notice a lot of things about that. There's I'll send you this guy Farhad Manjoo. I think he sucks, and he's in New York Times tech media. He sucks now, but in 2013 he wrote something really good. The headline was, "You will not read to the end of this article." Okay?
Oh, wow.
It's scientifically proven, particularly on the internet. No, but you lose. There's reader attrition as you go farther down the article. Most people only read the headline. Most people only read the first
or the lead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you translate that to the era of Twitter. Everyone is prioritizing how do we craft something that's shareable, not how do we tell a story that's correct. Okay.
Right.
And not that there's still some good journal, even at like places that I think suck, there's still 20% good journalism being done. Like, not everybody sucks.
Yeah.
But a large share of the industrial complex that is there supposedly to inform people has really deprioritized getting it right and prioritized being able to get clicks and shares. And that I started picking up on that a lot, like middle of the decade, like 2015, 2016. I'm like, holy shit, this stuff is clearly intended to lead me in a certain direction.
Yeah, I started picking up on that around then too, like
Yeah.
17, 18. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Am I just supposed to read this headline? Because the rest of it just kind of
doesn't
feels like it's trying to
support-
manipulate me.
Yeah, well, but also the facts in the article don't support the headline.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And there's a ton of that going on. And, I probably defended Trump a little bit more than I would have wanted to because he was the victim of that. There's a lot of shit that he was doing and saying that, like, all right, I'm not a big fan of, but like, they're clearly like, he robbed a candy store and they're trying to pretend like he just shot 3 people.
Right.
And like, I don't want the guy who robbed the candy store, but like, I'm not just going to believe that he shot 3 people because you said so.
Right. Which is a very real article that was printed. Yeah.
And it just started. I just started seeing that a lot, and it became this thing where like all of media was engaged in this bullshit, and unfortunately, the only other the main contrasting source was Fox News and Breitbart, and like, okay, so they're just doing the same thing on the other side. And it's like, where are the people who like don't always fall on the same side? Who's into thinking independently? And I started to be able to find some of the more independent journalists.
That's what I try to find now.
Yeah.
I have like a short list of guys that whenever I go on Twitter, I'll just go straight to this guy's feed, this girl's feed, this guy's feed. And that's kind of how I try to get my news. But then I also still follow CNN. I follow Fox, MSNBC. I follow OAN. And I try to absorb the information from all of them to figure out what the through line is.
Yeah.
And it's really hard sometimes.
I gotta be honest,
like,
those networks, I think your time is better spent.
They're all those main networks are garbage. I do actually like PBS. I have a good time with NewsHour. NewsHour was a good. I had a really good experience. Here's my experience with NewsHour. I watched PBS NewsHour. That's what it is, right? PBS NewsHour. And leading up to the election, when all news outlets were holding their ground. They had planted their flag. Yeah. You knew exactly what you were going to get if you were watching Cuomo's brother or Tucker or Maddow. You know exactly what you were getting, right? Yeah. And I remember watching MSNBC, and it was an article, or it was a quick story about the election and like fraud claims and like the anti-vax crowd, and it was so far left leaning. I was like mad. I was watching it with my mom. She was mad too. We were both like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. This isn't news. This is somebody on TV saying Trump lies, a reporter during a news segment saying Trump has lied about everything. Like that was a sentence that was spoken on news. I hate Trump all you want. I dislike the guy very much. But saying that Trump lies about everything is not a sentence that should be spoken on news.
Correct.
So I watched that and I was disgusted. I gagged a little bit. I drank some water. I gargled. And then I put on PBS NewsHour. And it was like going to a spa, dude. Maybe I haven't watched it since because I just don't really watch news. Well, no, I have. I have, but not. I haven't had this experience since, is what I should say. But I watched NewsHour, and it was a woman deadpan reading facts, showing, and then they would show images. And then she would read more facts about COVID and case numbers and percentages of asymptomaticness and versus death. And then it was factual information. And then she talked about Trump and said, Trump made a decision about this by saying this. And then they would show the quote or play the quote. And on to our next thing about a cat who fucked a dog or whatever. And it was like beautiful because it was just the news, dude. So
refreshing.
And I've seen, obviously, NewsHour. Maybe a lot of people hate that shit. But it was just like nice to find that. And so now I'm constantly seeking that refreshing, like deadpan neutral take on news.
For sure. Have you started following any of the people on Substack or what's going on Substack?
No.
Okay. So Substack is like a more published version of,
I like The Hill. Sorry.
Okay. The Hill's good.
I meant to mention The Hill.
All things considered, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Patreon, like, a way for independent creators, journalists, whatnot, anyone who creates content to get paid directly for their content. Substack is a little more specifically for, journalists or people who want to talk about news or current events for that. And a lot of journalists here's one of my theories is that if you're in a bigger organization, those have mostly become poisoned because nobody wants any controversy there. and no one wants to be heterodox. Like everyone chooses their lane, and this organization stays in their lane. And the management doesn't want like the fucking 20 woke kid, they're the woke interns starting a petition that they're pissed off that you hired this person, and like it's the organizations are bad. So a lot of the smarter, like more contrarian voices have now gone to Substack, like Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald's a very left-wing dude. Okay, Matt Taibbi wrote a fucking book about police brutality. Okay, but he also was like, I don't buy this Russia shit, so I'm not gonna just toss my hat in with everybody else in the liberal media that the Russia thing's right, and all his former cronies and friends and people that he's written stories for their publication all hate him now because like the facts don't support it, so I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah.
Okay. And like Matt Taibbi wrote a book about how Goldman Sachs is swamping the economy with greed, and like he's clearly a pretty to the left dude, but he's like I'm not buying into this bullshit. He's just an example. There's a lot of the best, smartest writers who don't want to be under the suffocated or required to take a certain point of view by the organization they write for. A lot of them have gone to Substack, and that's where I think you're finding a lot of the interesting shit right now, and the types of people that.
Is Substack a website?
It's a website.
Okay.
It's a website, and then a variety of people have their own accounts on Substack. And if you sign up, you'll probably get a newsletter.
Okay.
But it's the platform.
Cool.
And of course, it has a bunch of the corporate media types going, can't believe you're letting these people. Clearly, Substack's becoming a place for these, fascists. Blah blah blah. I was like, so these fucking fascists. One used to write for your publications. Right. They just didn't want. They weren't fucking juvenile adults who wanted to be able to tell the truth and express their informed opinion without having to without being governed by having to signal which team they're on. So they went here. And it's like, isn't that what we want?
Yeah.
So that's one place where super interesting stuff is going on.
Okay, that's cool.
To your point, about like following the news and like and media, I think it all kind of came to a head with COVID, right? Because the stuff that me and you were talking about, just like you saw it, you kind of admitted it, not admitted, but acknowledged. There's a lot of things that didn't impact my life that were going on, and all of a sudden, 2020 comes along, and like who my mayor is or who the governor is or all these things start to directly impact, and or is the media giving me an informed perspective? Are they honest? These things start to really directly impact your life.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I got a bit of a pump on social media and some of my stuff started going semi-viral, and everyone's like, holy shit, dude, like this guy seems to be giving me way better information than CNN is or the New York Times or the Washington Post. And he seems to be trying to analyze things and consider whether or not he's wrong, and he's admitted to being wrong. I was like, maybe I should be listening to him about this stuff as opposed to these organizations I've been trained to believe have authority, but like really don't seem to be living up to the quality that they used to have. Like it's not your parents. The CNN that rose to prominence during the first Iraq War, which is really when CNN became a thing. I was like, holy shit, you've got the U.S. military is getting their information from CNN. Like they seem super responsible and operating by a code of ethics. And
Wolf Blitzer has a great beard. Yeah, exactly. It was great. It was wonderful.
He still sucked me in. Even though I have bullshit, I can't deny the power of the beard.
Yeah.
That CNN is that CNN doesn't exist anymore. They're bullshitting you.
Right.
Okay. Go look how many times the headline, the story and the headline don't match.
Oh, dude, it's complete fear mongering. Anybody that still watches CNN as their main source of news is just like either consciously or subconsciously dumbing themselves down and becoming a conditioned pawn for what CNN want. I don't know what they want. I don't know what their fucking agenda is, but there's got to be something. Who
runs CNN? Jeff Zucker. How did Jeff Zucker rise in his career? Reality TV schlock.
Right.
Do the fucking math.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's not a coincidence.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Just look at once again, when people like me and you have these conversations, some people like to tar it as it's not a conspiracy. I don't think there's all these people.
No, man. Conspiracy. People throw out conspiracy theory now as like a quick way to dismiss you so that they don't have to open their brain up to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Either because they are too lazy or they just don't have the attention span or the cognitive ability to have a conversation that falls outside of the parameters of their ideology.
And once again, they don't want to have to walk anything back.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And we're seeing, I think over the last 2 weeks, crazy shit with this lab leak. about.
Yeah, dude,
okay?
that's the biggest thing.
How about Facebook?
Oh my God.
Facebook walking back their official policy of censoring any materials that suggested the lab leak. Isn't that pretty fucking important?
I mean, yeah, and then you have people saying like, "Oh, well, a whole year of evidence has changed things." Fuck you, dude. Follow it from the beginning when there was evidence in the first place.
Exactly.
In the first place, this wasn't whispers in dark corner alleyways of people being like, "Did you hear it was in a lab?" No, dude, there was evidence.
It's just like, oh, how about
There
just
was theory, like,
bro, the common sense observation that, wait a second, this virus didn't start in Beijing. It first popped up in Wuhan, and there happens to be a virology institute there. Like, based on that alone, you have to do a deep dive
dude.
Jesus Christ.
And to say to post on Facebook, "Hey, we should look into the Wuhan lab leak and see if it was a real thing." Back in March, just saying that you'd have it removed. And now that, like you just said, the position has changed. And it's just that's what's so insanely infuriating is all of these tech companies are backing this one specific agenda.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't think people not that I'm the ultimate insider, but I've seen a little bit about how the political system works. I also know a little bit about how these tech companies work. Okay, first off, the people who work for these tech companies, they're not that smart. Okay, they're not these super sharp the people who started tech companies, once you get to like 50 employees, past that, you're starting to just hire people like any other company.
Yeah.
Okay, people who got a nice degree and got the fucking Cornell history degree and got a 3.7 GPA and have some good extracurriculars and they interviewed well. And what qualifies these people to be to be determining what's true or not? And when you control this much, the flow of this much information, the fucking decisions you make impact a lot of stuff. Yeah. Right. And so they have pressures. When you're putting too much pressure, when there's too much general societal pressure on these people, that's the reason we try to stick to the principle of freedom of speech is because we know that even, if that's going to allow for some some lies to be made and some harmful speech to go on, that it's impossible to censor right. Yeah. It's just not. It never has worked out and never will work out. Right. But when we put all this pressure on the people who control the channels of information to be the ones who decide what's true and not, it's inevitable that it's going to get fucked up because they're not there's no one who really has that much wisdom. So the better decision is to allow for more things to be said. It's just plain and simple.
Where do we go from here? Where does it go from here? Does it keep moving in this direction of censorship and new policies? Do you think we get a new president when Joe Biden peacefully retires?
Yeah, right. We'll see. I mean, that's too far out in the future. But in terms of censorship,
in terms of censorship, and then I want to know your prediction on the governor race.
All right, so censorship and tech censorship. Oh, fuck! I wish we even had more time to talk about this. But I think that I think the lab leak thing is it being exposed has been a good thing.
Yes.
Because this is going to, a lot of the people who are on the fence are now going to be woken up to the risks of censorship.
Right.
And I think that, and also there's becoming more and more alternatives, right? Just like Substack, right?
Right.
So new structures are going to be put up that allow people to speak more freely, and it's not all just going to be like Gab or these other like blatantly right-wing alternatives, you know? And I think so. There's a law, there's legislation called the Communications Decency Act, Section 230, that essentially allows all websites to operate, that a website and social media platform can't be sued. It cannot be sued for something tortious that one of the people utilizing the platform says. Like if someone defames you on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Other than in a certain set of circumstances. And like that situation's coming to a head because
wasn't Trump trying to repeal that?
He was trying to repeal that. And I've got a lot of experiences with this legislation, including, me getting out of a lawsuit because of, real quick, if you ever get an email sent to you that may have some illicit materials and you forward it along, don't type anything in the email. Just press forward. The law says if you in California,
really?
Yeah, in California, at least the settled law as of today, if you just forward the email, then you're treated like the website.
Holy shit!
If you add any text or any editorial,
hey, look at this.
Yeah, it's like
wow.
Then you all of a sudden open yourself up. Wow. But so the more and more that a Facebook or a Twitter decides to involve themselves in what's said on the website and make these censor, it kind of runs contrary to the principles that allowed them to get that protection.
Right.
So
right.
now, like, wait a second, we have to do something. We have to do something with this legislation because it was passed in the beginning of the century when we encountered an information environment that does not reflect what we see right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think something's going to come to a head on that. I think that these sites are going to realize that, like, the more and more that they try to censor stuff, they're creating a backlash. So there's going to be some pressure because their internal employees are mostly pro-censorship. Mm-hmm. And people ignore how much these decisions are made by bosses not want to piss off their employees. Mm-hmm. And so I'm cautiously optimistic that some of that pressure to censor is going to be released, but it's going to continue to be a messy information environment. So I think, like, unfortunately, you got to, if you want to know the truth and you want to and you want to be informed, you got to take more responsibility.
You have to put in more effort.
You have to put in more effort
than just looking at Twitter headlines.
Exactly. And you have to judge and hone whether or not the people you're hearing shit from, whether or not they're credible. Yeah. And you got to be suspicious if they tell you things that you cheer on too much.
And it's okay to be suspicious, dude. Yeah. So many people are like, no, don't stop questioning this. Why are you questioning these people? It's okay. There's a difference between information denial and just critical thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree 100%, and I'm excited to look at Substack.
For sure.
Give me your prediction on the recall, bro.
I think he's a toss-up. It's 50-50.
You really think he's a toss-up?
It's on the first question, it's a toss-up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, well, and also,
my prediction was that he'll be voted in again.
So this is some of the inside baseball I know. Based on how he's polling, it's like an incumbent should be polling higher. Like someone who's up for like if you're like, you don't have to be polling at like 23% to be like, if you're polling at like 52, like you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. So, and yes, a lot of parents are pissed. A lot of parents who are independent or Democrats who are like, once again, it goes back, like my kid, all, like, not just in North Dakota, that everybody lives 16 miles away from each other. My friends in other states with big cities and cosmopolitan, just like, they're sending their kids to school. Like, their kids got to go back to normal. Like, why did I get fucked with like this? Yeah. A lot of those people are unhappy, and that's going to put him, that puts him in danger. And also, here's the other thing. Whether or not a lot of people like Caitlyn Jenner, and there's a couple other more standard issue, boring, Republicans, like this guy who was the mayor of San Diego, who I'd take him over Gavin Newsom any fucking day, but like, he's not super exciting. Mm-hmm. But if all of these candidates have a following and they all bring, even if they all bring people out to the poll, these are people who don't like Gavin Newsom. So if you get 1 million people who support this person, 1 million persons, and they all go, then he's more likely to lose on the first question. Wow. So he's a coin flip on the first one. And he could win. He could survive it.
Sure.
And also the fact that it's not like it's 2003 with Arnold, where there's a really charismatic alternative who a lot of people are going to rally about. It doesn't look like that's happening.
Yeah.
But we could end up with a really strange, unorthodox result because of a lot of people who don't like Gavin Newsom from a lot of different groups, not just the typical Republicans. They combine that factor with the factor of no really good alternative candidate, and like, Caitlyn could win.
That would be so wild.
It would be wild.
Ooh. I mean, would it be as crazy as Trump winning? Would it be crazy? Would it be crazier? I don't think it would be crazier. No. I think it would be as crazy.
I think it would be as. I think it's the
as madness crazy. Of seeing Trump win all of those in all the, what's it called, on the campaign trail when they're doing the
primaries.
The primaries.
Yeah.
The madness of seeing him win all the primaries was like driving people batshit crazy.
Yeah.
It feels like that is starting to happen for Caitlyn right now. Even just us talking about it, even though neither of us like support her, or maybe we do. I don't know. I don't fucking have a dog in a fight.
I support more damage to the system.
See, and that's the thing, right? And just giving Caitlyn Jenner airtime and me mentioning that she had a kick-ass campaign ad, which she does. Yeah. Is already creating that base that Trump was creating with people, where people were like, wait, this dude, hang on a minute. Yeah. Why don't we talk about him a little more? And then all the people are like, no, don't fucking talk about him. That's not real. Yeah. You're going to ruin the country. Country's still standing. Yeah. So who knows? I'm excited to see.
It could get very wild. And just like Kaylin, one of these other standard issue Republicans who's like, all right, I got 700,000 votes from San Diego and a few more from Orange County and a few more people from Napa. And oh, boom, there were 20 people running.
Right.
So I got 2 million votes and I'm governor all of a sudden.
Crazy.
Any of this shit could happen.
Oh, man.
And, there's going to be a lot of, California was the first place where the effects of one party running everything with no oversight got so bad that it really started to fuck with people.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's going to be an interesting bellwether for a lot of other stuff that like, all right, like if you keep on like allowing all these homeless people to live without, any rules on the Venice Boardwalk because this homeless advocacy group that's super funded and gets money from the state essentially believes that they have the right to do so and that it's fascist to impose any rules whatsoever. It's like, that's not how you run a civilized,
that's not a
society, right? So if you keep on allowing that to happen, like eventually there's going to be some consequence. Like eventually, like a lot of people who, formally voted for you and consider that don't watch Fox News are going to be fed up with it. And they're either going to leave the state and like a lot of people left. I mean, have friends of yours left?
Yeah, a lot. A lot of comedians left. A lot of people left.
You go to Austin, right? I
love Austin.
So many.
I'll never leave. Mm-hmm. I love California too much.
Mar Vista, big Mar Vista guy.
Big Mar Vista guy, big Venice guy, big beach guy. But everybody left, so I'm just gonna rise from the ashes, and I'm gonna help bring the place back to life.
I'll be right here with you.
We got to wrap it up, bro. I gotta go shoot a bunch of stupid stuff for my governor campaign in 2034.
Thank God, man. So
exactly.
We'll
get there. Where can people find you online?
Twitter, primarily Twitter and Instagram at Matt Bilinsky, MattBilinsky, and then like every other approaching middle-aged white man, I'll have a podcast launching soon.
Hell yeah.
Probably either by the end of this month or into July. So
I love it
for sure.
Let's do this again. We'd love to.
Even
if it's not soon, even if it's a recap, and then we can get into.
I'll keep on.
Stuff.
I got. Trust me. I'll get some good information.
Dude.
I get some good info on this stuff.
Baby. You're tapped in. Cool. I love you, bro. Thanks for sticking it.
My pleasure.
And that's the show, baby. I hope you liked it. Follow Matt. Keep up with Matt. He's a good friend. He's a new friend. He's a good friend. He's a chill friend. He's a cool friend. I really, really enjoyed this conversation with Matt. I just love talking to people about these things. The more we can communicate with each other, the more united we can become. That is my philosophy as it stands right now. Communication breeds unity. Because when you can communicate with each other and understand one another, even if you don't agree, you can still be united in trying to achieve a common goal. Common goal? Peace, love, and happiness. You know what I mean? That's my common goal. That's Brent's common goal. I wish you all the peace, love, and happiness in the world. You can have more peace, love, and happiness if you buy Blue Blocks. Or blueblocks.com/Brent, magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Brent Pella. Get your supplements, get your health in order, get your life together. Guys, I love you so much. All right? I'll see you next week. Peace.